Man, it's already March and it still looks like Christmas outside. What's up, everybody? It's Priyon Joni. So, a couple people asked me this question. Which class do I think is better from Masterclass? The electronic music production course from deadmau5 or the one from Armin van Buuren? So I get this question from a couple of folks who are usually just starting to learn how to produce or haven't started yet and are looking for a resource. And a lot of times it's about electronic music production, which is an interest of mine. And I know a lot of you guys have seen the ads for them on YouTube or Facebook. And I know sometimes they get redundant because they buy a lot of ad space. And these classes are $90 each to have them forever, or you can buy for the price of 2 classes an unlimited subscription for a year. So I just want to start this discussion off to let you guys know that I was never paid by Masterclass to make this video. I actually learned about it through YouTube and Facebook ads, and I actually paid the full $90 for each class. In fact, I'm subscribed to 3 classes right now. And it started with the deadmau5 one and then the Armin van Buuren one. So today we're going to talk about the similarities, the differences, which one I might like better and which one I would recommend. Well, Armin van Buuren and deadmau5 are almost polar opposites. I wouldn't say that their music is polar opposite, but I would say their approach, their personalities are very different, and definitely their music is very different. Anybody who's actually been following them and has seen them in interviews can basically pick up on that. And the differences in their, personas also resonates in the differences in the type of genres they produce and the type of music they produce. I would even go as far as they're different types of performers. They have different approaches. So it's kind of cool to actually see 2 different artists produce a masterclass because you kind of also have 2 different teaching styles coming at you. So first, the difference between deadmau5 and Armin van Buuren, of course, is their musical genre. deadmau5 has an underground approach, and it's he's known for a lot of genres, but I think he made a name for himself in progressive house. And while he wasn't necessarily the founder of progressive house has progressed over the decades, having different types of sounds within that. deadmau5's approach is a little bit more underground because when he makes music, it's kind of from the perspective of how do I do something different today. On the other hand, Armin van Buuren is about catchy melodies and being euphoric. His approach is more about conveying an emotion and catching the crowd. Now, from deadmau5, he comes from the perspective of a person who doesn't really play instruments. Like, I wouldn't say that he doesn't know music theory, because I think he does, because he went to a conservatory. I would say he approaches it in the manner that it's almost like he threw it away. So if you don't know how to play an instrument or understand chords or scales, he kind of comes from that approach where you don't have to. So it's almost a technological approach to music and discovering your own music theory or scales, basing it plainly on what you think sounds good. Now, Armin is kind of a classical approach, and for him, it's not that he says it outright, but there's kind of an expectation that if you're gonna do it his way, you kind of have to at least know how to play the piano. He'll say something like, okay, so I got a piano and I'll start with a tune. Now, not everybody can just start with a tune with a piano. So if you know piano, he's a little bit easier to understand because a lot of his production is written starting with something that he jotted down on the keyboard. And you'll see that in his class. Now for deadmau5, some people don't understand what this means, but deadmau5 is actually not a DJ. He doesn't play records when he performs. He actually plays Ableton Live, and what he's playing is the full track stems of the tracks. So he can mute a bass line and then bring in a live one that's playing off a synthesizer. Basically, he plays Ableton Live. So, and the way he performs is not the same as playing a song and you can wing it and change directions. His is almost more like a concert. That's how he performs. It's about the lights, it's about production. It's not about veering off, going another direction. So, and it's not that he's never played a recorded piece of music before that wasn't his. Ultra, he played that Old MacDonald version of Animals. But keep in mind, he's not a DJ. He's a live producer or live electronics. I don't know what officially it's called, but what he does is actually pretty unique because not a lot of people do that. Now, Armin, on the other hand, he is a DJ. He actually plays his music and he plays other people's music, and he plays them one song at a time when he plays. And he goes into a tutorial as to how he does it with 4 CDJs. So with deadmau5, he really encourages sound design, meaning creating your own sounds. While Armin, on the other hand, he's admitted that he uses presets, and his approach is you can use a preset, but create your melody, and that's your art form. So it's not to say that Armin is against sound design and deadmau5 is against melodies, but what I'm saying is deadmau5 really emphasizes the sound design aspect, while Armin emphasizes writing your own melodies. Now, in deadmau5's masterclass, he goes through clips, like little clips, little tidbits of how he creates different parts of songs. And it's kind of hard because in one class, it feels like it's all over the place. And I can see for a beginner why it would be a little confusing, and a few beginners have told me that it went over their heads. And basically, he's just showing a little tidbit here and a little tidbit there. Now, I know that separate from Masterclass, deadmau5 likes to live stream when he's producing music. So cramming a lot of the information he knows and putting it into one class is actually pretty difficult. So with deadmau5, he doesn't really sit there and create a song with you. He's just showing little creative nuggets through a little tidbit here, a little tidbit there. And to be honest, I don't really think you could show a lot in one class. However, Armin does break down creating one track and basically builds a song from scratch with you. Now, I've seen a lot of Armin's work out there, and I can tell you that not every great advice he's ever shared was all in that one breakdown, but it's really useful if you're just trying to follow along and create the song with them. So one of the things about deadmau5 is that he's a very technical person, and some of the advice that he gives can seem a little too advanced for the average person or the beginner. I noticed that in Armin's class, he's really good at communicating something in layman's terms, while deadmau5, they're both geeks, but he's really detailed as to what he's trying to tell you. So overall, deadmau5's class can seem like a couple of people have said, it goes over their heads a little bit. In fact, sometimes he would make really impractical suggestions. For example, he'll be like, oh, when you're building your studio, get walls that aren't parallel. I mean, what average person is going to be able to get walls that are not parallel? I mean, most walls are parallel. If it was my masterclass, I would recommend getting really good acoustics. You can't always change the architecture of your house. Now, one of the really cool things in deadmau5's class that I really appreciated was he teaches music business. Now, he kind of comes from the perspective of everyone's gonna screw you over, but he does talk about it, and I think that's really important because there's a lot of classes, there's a lot of schooling and a lot of advice that goes towards how to be an artist, but there's not enough conversations about how to conduct your music business as an artist. And I think it's really cool that deadmau5 actually went through that. Now, like I said earlier, deadmau5 isn't a DJ, and he doesn't really go through details as to how he performs. He doesn't show you, oh, this is how I break down my Ableton track so that you can prep it for a live set. He does tell you the broad picture of what he does. He plays a bunch of stems, changes a couple of the instruments and plays them live, and then he goes on to the next track, and he basically presses spacebar to start the sequence up. But where he really does go into detail about is the importance of producing a good show, the importance of the lighting, the sound system, having a good team. Now, it's not exactly a beginner's advice, and after all, this is a masterclass, but all that is really important, and I agree it's important because the lighting, sound system, crew all makes for a good show, not just the one performer. In Armin's class, in regards to performance, the focus is on DJing well and DJing uniquely. He goes through the detailed spectrum of how he spins with 4 CDJs. And some of you guys might be surprised. I know there's a lot of turntablists on my channel that watch my stuff. You'll be really surprised how much is missed by folks that a lot of electronic music acts actually do up there. Some people think they just press play and play a pre-recorded set. Some people just think they play one song to another and that's it. No, Armin gets into some details on some really interesting stuff on how he uses 4 CDJs. In fact, over the years, I've seen many ways he's used 4 CDJs, but the one in his masterclass is really interesting, especially if you're a turntablist. I know he doesn't go into scratching and stuff, but what he does during a night, during a set, is pretty interesting and unique, and it might make some of you guys rethink what you guys think about EDM DJs. So what's my conclusion? Well, honestly, and I'm sorry if this is a cop-out, but I really highly recommend both. The way I feel about deadmau5's course is that he had a lot of great info to share, but he had to cram it all into this class. And honestly, a good supplement to his masterclass is to actually watch his live streams, because I feel like he just took the best of what he knows and threw it all into one class. And that's what became his course. But whether you're taking notes on specific techniques or just broadening to help you get ideas to get inspired, I found both classes really, really great. I would say if you're a complete beginner, Armin might be the first class you want to check out. If you're a little bit more intermediate, deadmau5's class would be the next step. But overall, I really highly recommend both classes. They're really, really good. Now the question is, which one of these two classes do I find most useful for electronic music production? And to be honest with you, out of all the master classes, I would say neither one. But I feel like the one that really, really inspired me to produce electronic music, like after I take a class, I'm gonna go to my studio and work on something, was actually the Hans Zimmer class. That's right, the film composer Hans Zimmer also has a master class. And to be honest with you, out of the three classes that I subscribe to, his is actually my favorite one. Now, he's a film composer. What would he know about electronic music? You'll be surprised. This guy is famous for making synth pop back in the 80s. And he has modular synthesizers inside his studio. I believe that deadmau5 is actually a fan of Hans Zimmer's. He said that in an interview and has said that he's aspired to actually do film scoring. And in that interview, he talked about how Hans Zimmer is a big synth head, you know? So Hans Zimmer's class probably inspired me the most to make music. And the cool thing is that it comes from the perspective of you're not making electronic music, you're just making music. And you can make it using electronic instruments, or you can make it by using acoustic instruments. And that's one of the cool things about Hans Zimmer's class is, like, at the end of it, it's like, not only do you want to do electronic music, you want to start composing some classical stuff or start creating stuff for film. So yeah, guys, my 3 recommended classes from Masterclass is Hans Zimmer, Armin van Buuren, and deadmau5. So like I said, each class costs $90. I paid for each one so that I would have unlimited access to each class. I think I'm actually going to upgrade to the one where it allows me a 1-year subscription. And I think when you already are subscribed, it's only another $90. And that's because I want to check out the ones from Timbaland and Carlos Santana on the guitar. Anyways, hope you guys found this useful. Now, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them in the comments section below. Would love to answer them or get your thoughts on what you guys think of these masterclasses. And if it's your first time here and you found this video useful, be sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to click that little bell icon so you get a notification the next time I upload a video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Take care.